Hello, I am Zinfogel, and today we're checking out the Fire-type Masters High Score event. Our goal today is reaching 180k points for all the rewards, specifically that tantalizing move candy coin. As a guide, I am trying to keep things as easy and as accessible to the best of my ability, but if you're looking to break into Master rank for the medal, I will be teaching some concepts that you may find useful. Now, for this run, I am using accessible-ish pairs as a baseline, but I had to be loose in my restrictions because this is difficult. You need a fair amount of resources to get by. Unfortunately, this is as endgamey as it gets. You need full sync grids, lucky skills, 3-star fire gear. It is what it is. If you're able to, you have to make do with what you have. Alright. How do high score events work? You have to defeat 5 Champion Stadium style matches, and your score is graded by a couple criteria. Your team's team skills and your battle performance. Long story short, the best approach is bringing 3 fire-type pairs and pumping as much stage strength as your team can tolerate. If you are just looking to reach 180k points, a good rule of thumb is totaling 800 strength across your 5 teams. That's not the only viable approach, however. You can also bring a couple fire types alongside an on-type striker who hits the center mon super effectively. But you have to compensate for the fire type multiplier by pumping even more strength. This is where understanding the event rules really comes in handy. Our grading systems this time around are remaining HP, more stat decreases, and more attacks. Remaining HP is a fun criteria, it can get nuanced. The healthier you are at the end of the fight, the better your score. Normally, you want to make stages harder by inflating your base score with strength increases. But that means little if all your Pokémon end up at critical health or fainted because of it. It destroys your remaining HP score. So sometimes, lowering strength to make a stage easier to tank is better provided you bring a pair with healing boosts, such as OG Kiawe or OG Hilda, because they can spam potions to keep the party nice and healthy and upkeep your remaining HP score, which is a strategy I resort to a couple times during this run. More stat decreases is self-explanatory, the more debuffs the better, but this is unlikely to be impactful unless you bring an aggressive spread debuffer like a Champion Leaf or Anniversary N. I wouldn't focus too hard on this grading unless you have the pairs who can manage. Lastly, more attacks improves your score depending on how many hits you dealt in total. You can leverage from spread moves like a Heat Wave or Eruption to improve your score. Oh, and we can earn some sneaky points through some challenges. We can earn 1000 points just by burning a foe, and an extra 1000 via main character or rival theme skills. Main characters in particular are easy to distribute when team building because there are so many fire-type starters running amok. Now, these challenges heighten the value of fire-type Pokémons because all of them share the main character theme skill. The Sunny Day Eggmons in Tech Ninetales and Support Fuecoco are very useful, but you can get some good mileage out of the more mundane options like Tech Growlithe, which I ended up using on my run. The good boy here activates the fire-type multiplier, it grants the main character a point bonus, and it has decent odds of burning to help you with that challenge as well. Yeah, Growlithe is not helping clear the fight per se, but while it lacks for in-battle performance, it makes up for in points. This is why I recommend against defaulting outside the scope of fire types, unless you have to, because if you really think about your team building, you can make up some good points where you least expect it. Alright then, I'll try to be more succinct with my stage explanations because we have a lot of ground to cover today. We're kicking this off with Flint because the rest of your run somewhat hinges on how well you can manage this stage. Flint is tough. He spams strong physical moves like Flare Blitz, Brave Bird, Hammer Arm. He has a physical fire-type sync move, so you want to avoid setting up a Sunny Day for Flint. But most egregious of all is Flint is a stage condition. He doesn't let you heal your party. Potion? Nothing. Regeneration? Zilch. Healing someone? Squad. How are you supposed to survive Flint is onslaught when you aren't allowed to restore your health? Well, my solution is staggering Flint. By using Sleep or Flinch, you delay Flint's damage and force him to use trainer moves for a few turns, which buys you some time. I think Serena and Lost Shirida are crucial to handle Flint. Note Flint raises his party's evasion after sinking, which incentivizes piercing gaze and accuracy buffs. Flint also has a flying type weakness, so OG Leon and Challenger Gloria work really well here, but strikers like Sinusud Hilda don't mind Team Evasive Rush. For this run I went with Ethan, Torchic and Serena. Most players in this event are using Ethan as a tank, but I am the proud owner of a 6-star EX Ethan Gigachad, so he's serving as a stand-in for a proper striker. Although his eruption multi-hits rack up some points. Serena is here for Hypnosis and to add overheat onto Ethan's damage. I gave Serena Troublemaker 1 to guarantee Hypnosis' accuracy. If she buffs +1 accuracy, it also counters Flint's Team Evasive Rush. I just didn't want to think about Hypnosis' consistency, so Troublemaker 1 helps there. And Torchic's offensive buffs help enable Ethan and Serena. I went with a +220 strength, which is a fair amount for this stage, but thanks to the Hypnosis cheese, we can handle Flint's output. With my stats, Torchic can barely handle a couple attacks for some wiggle room. You will notice I am not going for Hypnosis right away. First, I want to use Fire Spin onto Flint before Resilience kicks in order to activate Serena's Stationary Target 5 multiplier. Second, I want to ensure Emboar stays asleep when its turn comes up. It has a chance of using Earthquake, and if that connects the party, you have to reset. It's way too much damage. So I want to force it to use X Defense All. Ethan is taking sync moves because Resilience makes it nearly impossible for Serena to land her innate sleep multiplier. Thankfully, Ethan's recent grid expansion helps his sync move a fair bit. Oh, I graded Torchic with a focus on Gauge, so it supplies speed for the party before it inevitably faints. But if you want to be sneaky and earn some extra points, you could pick Flamethrower Hostile Environment 5, which raises Flamethrower's burn rate up to 60%. You can aim that onto Blaziken to earn some extra points via the Burn challenge. Now, this endgame is different depending on a few factors. Did Torchic maximize Serena's crit? What kind of buffs did Serena steal via Stat Leech? Attack and defense drops help Serena tank Flint's sync move, but if you don't steal any, you will drop down to critical health. But that's actually a good thing, because I gridded on the run too, and that grants a couple evasion buffs, which can help you dodge Flint's attacks if you need to. After Flint uses X-Attack Call, you want to lock him with Hypnosis once again, but you will notice I am spamming Ethan's trainer move. The reason is that we don't have enough gauge to be spamming Eruption like this, but Ethan's trainer move also raises speed, but more importantly, evasion, which can help in case you fail to knock out Flint before he wakes up. But yeah, Hypnosis is the saving grace for this team. Tanking Flint without healing? Man, that's rough. Up next, we have Kiawe. The tricky part here is the stage conditional. Striker stats are severely nerfed, so they are unusable. You have to handle the fight with techs and supports. Kiawe also has multipliers derived from special defense buffs, so I suspect this stage was built around Anniversary N. Therefore, techs who follow his debuffing structure have a really good matchup here. Pairs like Champion Leaf and Variety Kiawe. The opposing Kiawe also has a ghost weakness, so you can get some decent damage out of OG Kiawe plus a physical tech, which is what I ended up using. Also know that the opposing Kiawe hardly uses fire-type attacks, so you won't get punished for bringing a Sunny Day Setter. For this run, I went with Blaine, OG Kiawe, and Tech Growlithe. Blaine has a standard nuking grid and takes care of the bulk of the damage. I believe he needs Critical Strike 2 to hit all his ranges, however. Kiawe has a standard tanking grid with Wise Entry 2 plus Endurance, which helps him survive the endgame Hyper Beams. Kiawe doesn't need 630X for this sequence, by the way. And Growlithe is the best team filler I have left, but it is a good hacking popper, let me tell you. It is pulling its weight via points. Growlithe activates main character theme skills, it has decent odds of burning for some extra points. It's something, and out of all the awful fire-type Eggmons, Growlithe is okay. It buffs its defenses, it self-adds regeneration, and Fire Fang is 10% chance to flinch can be clutch. Now, the handy thing about pumping so much strength on Flint's stage is that we can afford to make the rest of the run easier. For Kiawe, we are going with a mild plus 120 strength. For this clear, we are aiming for a good remaining HP score. We want to pre-sync the opposing Kiawe, and our own Kiawe should conserve potions to keep the party topped off by the end of the fight. In case you are unfamiliar with Blaine nuking, his innate tech multiplier is Trap and Sink, so you want to use a Fire Spin to inflict the trap onto his nuke targets. But you kinda have to follow a process. First you Fire Spin, then you use Blaine's trainer move to proc Follow Through 9 for the sure crit, and lastly follow that up with Sunny Day to take better advantage of its lag span. Due to the fact that Blaine grants his own sure crit, Kiawe doesn't have to maximize the party's critical hit rate, although it would help. But Kiawe has a more important job in spamming Shadowbone on center to stack as many defense drops as possible. I am running Defense Cross 2 as a lucky skill to that end, but it's not necessary. If you drop the opposing Kiawe down to -2 defense, that should guarantee Blaine is capable of sniping the opposing Kiawe before he gets a chance to launch a sync move. Meanwhile, Growlithe clicks Fire Fang. Funnily enough, its DPS is about as decent as Blaine is, which speaks words for Blaine, but thanks to Kiawe's buffs, it is actively pushing damage. After defeating the opposing Kiawe, we have to deal with a Chandelier endgame, and this thing spams Hyper Beam. This is the reason I never heal Kiawe, because Hyper Beam pushes him down to Endurance anyway. But at this point, make sure Kiawe takes the first action in your rotation, because that will give him enough time to spam potions onto himself while Chandelier charges up Hyper Beam. Don't forget to cast a Fire Spin onto Chandelier. We may have lost the sun, but we can still work with Blaine's innate Trap and Sink. Overall, this clear is not too bad, but watch out for your health, because the remaining HP score is the whole reason we can afford such low strength in this fight. Up next, we have Blaine, the one stage without a dumb conditional. But funny enough, this is one of the harder stages due to Blaine's own antics. The biggest issue are evasion races. Blaine enters the field with +1 evasion, and right before sinking, he buffs his whole party with X evasion all, so Blaine becomes insanely annoying if you cannot land attacks. My recommendation is bringing sync pairs with Piercing Gaze or Accuracy buffs. Strikers such as Sinasur Red, OG Leon, Fighting type Chandelier Gloria, even Blue and Sinasur Hilda can also manage. Besides the evasion, Blaine has a penchant for spamming Body Slam, which has a 30% paralysis rate, and the Salazzle Sidemon also has a decent odds of poisoning you with its attacks. You also have to watch out for strong fire-type damage. It sounds like a given, but Sunny Day can be a bit of a double-edged sword. It powers up Blaine's Fire Blast as well as his Fire-type Sync move. For this run, I just threw some decent Sync pairs together. Silver has a very strong Sync nuke, let alone with his Power Boost, and you know, enemies cannot dodge Sync moves. The problem is that Silver Solar Eyes doesn't last long enough to supply the Solar Flare multiplier, but I think inertia is enough to carry his nuke. To that end, we have Marley. She is a very cohesive support for Silver as she supplies +4 speed and +1 crit. Lastly, we have Event Blue. You might think he's contributing damage with Hyper Beam, but I am actually using him to improve the more attacks metric with Swift. He's actually built for utility, with Swift Overwhelm 2 as well as Defense Crush 2 as a lucky skill to attempt more debuffs. Alright, let's check out the team in action. I actually used +200 strength for this team, but I ended up going over points on my final run, so I went back to make this stage a little easier. I attribute much of the success of that run to my 630X Marley. She didn't end up using the 630X, but it grants her so much bulk that she soaks up damage better than the regular Marley. Speaking of tanking, you need a somewhat decent sequence to get by. Marley's grid is built to tolerate physical damage, so you don't want the Blaine to spam Fire Blast because it cooks Marley. I recommend using Marley's Train move turn 3 just to cover for Salazzle's status procs. Note that my Silver is running a Sacred Fire build. Dauntless Overheat is stronger, but I am fishing for a burn chance to get more points. You might have noticed I skipped Blue's buffs. He's just here to spam Swift to rack up points, that's his job. The nice thing about Swift is that it cannot miss, but do remember Blue's terrain move raises accuracy, so if you grid him with Hyper Beam accuracy +10 on his grid, you can set up Hyper Beam to pierce through Blaine's evasion if you want.
Now's our chance.
With this setup, you can attempt a pre-sync clear, but it's risky. Silver has to quad Q, and if you fail to deny a Blaine's sync move, Solar Eyes will power him up, and a sun-boosted fire-type sync move is anything but pretty. As a safety precaution, I have Blue use his trainer move once to improve his accuracy and pick up Silver's slack if that were necessary. This clear is not as consistent as I would prefer because I couldn't do anything about Blaine's evasion, but hey, Blue is there as backup. Up next, we have a Chili from NPC Hell. Chili's gimmicks are similar to Kiawe's, but on the opposite spectrum. Chili has multipliers derived from defense raises, but his are a bit more aggressive because just having a +1 defense raise grants him a 30% multiplier to all his attacks, so defense debuffers are recommended. Pairs like OG Kiawe, Sinasud Mei, Champion Leaf. And the stage conditional is that your gauges are reduced from 6 bars down to 4 bars, but this is par for the course for Champion Stadium regulars. By this point I was running out of decent pairs to use, but I managed to scrap a defensive core composed of Flannery plus OG Hilda. Flannery can maximize her defense to better tank Chili's physical attacks, and Hilda's potions serve as backup. It also helps that Hilda's recent power boost turned her into a self-sufficient striker, so she doesn't need aid to complete her setup. Lastly, Take Ninetales supplies Sunny Day. Sunny Day powers up Hilda's damage, and it also activates Flannery's Healing Zone 1. Unfortunately, this party is incapable of dropping Chili's defense, unless you run Defense Crush 2 as a lucky skill, but it's what I have to work with. Because of that, even at +120 strength, I found Chili very difficult to tank. Even though I graded Flannery for pure tanking, she has her limits, so you may have to reset for a sequence she can manage. multiple sun boosted attacks will crack a Torkoal open, which is a disadvantage of bringing Soliday onto this stage. Now the Hilda's trainer move turns speed races into attack races, and she also nukes with inertia, so you want to open the fight with a couple flame charges. Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this sequence has to quad Q. And people always ask me how to quad Q in this game, and I feel so bad because I just don't know how to explain it. I brute force the timing, so I guess I'll tell you what I do. I can only quad Q on the highest speed setting, and I wait for this sync buff swirling, and time the quad Q upon its fade out. How helpful that is, I don't know, but most players slow the game down and mash the button. That seems to work out better. This quad Q is crucial because lacking a left side mount denial or some sync acceleration, Hilda is unable to deny Chili's sync move with her own. And we have to prevent that damage in order to maintain our remaining HP score. Meanwhile, I had Hilda soften up the side mounts with a couple sun boosted flare blitz to set up some denials for later. Nailing all these denials is extremely important to maintain your health. The alternative is pumping more strength just to make up the difference in the remaining HP score. Also, don't forget to use Will-O-Wisp at some point for the burning bonus. At this level of investment, I believe this is the easiest way of managing this sequence. Quad Q notwithstanding, you could also raise Hilda to 630x potential or build a dual strike core so Hilda functions as a pure potion bot. Last but not least, we have Flannery. Flannery summons Extended Sandstorm upon entry, so this stage wants you to use Sunny Day, but there is a catch. Flannery spams rock-type attacks, and a lot of fire-type pairs happen to be weak to rock. For example, Take Ninetales gets obliterated by Flannery's sync move, so you have to be privy of your weaknesses when team building. There is also the stage condition to consider. Sync move damage is greatly weakened, so you're probably better off bringing a couple 6-star supports rather than depending on nuke heavy clears. Besides that, Flannery doesn't do anything terribly complicated. Sinus with Morty is the given answer to this stage, but Flannery also has a weakness to fighting, so you may want to bring Sinus with May or Challenger Gloria. I went with Lush Kalem, Evelyn, and support of Waikoko. As far as nuance is concerned, there isn't a whole lot to dwell upon here, so I guess I'll explain the team as we go. Evelyn is an amazing tank, so plus 150 strength does the trick. Lush Kalem serves as DPS. It helps that Kiawe is a spread move, so it builds points through the more attack symmetric, and support Fuecoco removes Sandstorm. Now, if you noticed, I didn't grid a single sync multiplier for Kalem. And the reason is that I am going to be syncing with support Fuecoco, which sounds a little dumb, but let me explain. Under optimal circumstances, you get more damage from Kalem is Scorching Sync 5 nuke, plus a Heatwave Quad Q. However, Evelyn is Innate Revenge Boost 9 always prevents Quad Qs. And remember the stage conditional. So here's a little pop quiz. What is stronger? A nerf sync from Kalem plus support Fuecoco's Ember, or Fuecoco's sync move plus Kalem's Heatwave? Well, it's the latter, hence why I built Kalem for pure DPS. Kalem can resort to Burn Synergy 3 to boost his Heatwave output, and Evelyn helps him reach that multiplier sooner through Sacred Fire Burns. But I wouldn't bother with Battle Buff 3 because you have to activate that with a Side Beam, and Side Beam is so weak that it tanks your total damage. Also, I wouldn't bother with Power Surge 3 because Evelyn contributes so much health to the party that she heals Kalem right back up. You know, suffering from success. Mind you, if I had a better syncing effect available, I would take it in a heartbeat over whatever this is. For example, 3-5 Evelyn has Synchro Healing 1, Torchic has Synchro Healing 1, Tina has a Team Sync Regen, Variety Lucas' Solar Eyes would be greatly appreciated here. Just anything but wasting my sync move in an Eggmon. But this is the home stretch, and it's what we have to do. Not sure what else to add. This is a textbook case of a cyclical sequence. KLM spans a Heat Wave, Evelyn attempts to proc Team Fist Bump, Fuecoco is my beloved, and I am very proud of it. But actually, Fuecoco had some good contributions outside of Sunny Day. It's a support, so you get the benefits that entails. Fuecoco's trainer move tops off KLM's special attack raises to optimize his output. Its thin skills grant a sizable HP bonus, and if Evelyn were to fall in combat, Fuecoco can tank for a little while.
Okay then.
I'm gonna power my way to the top.
And there you go. Definitely the easiest battle out of all these lineups. There are no execution roadblocks. If anything, unit availability is what could stonewall you. And with all that, we reached our goal. I actually went over the 180k threshold by a fair margin, so I went back to make a few stages a little easier. I am confident that these lineups have what it takes to push higher in points, should you grind the RNG. But well, that is it for me today. If you have any questions or lineups you want to share, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. But thank you for watching, take care, and I hope to see you another time.